Minister, as you know, huge numbers of families are being hammered with the cost of living, energy costs, food prices and so on. And the centrepiece of the government's response to that has been exceptional needs payments, telling people to go and get exceptional needs payments. Pre-COVID, if you needed something like that, you had a face-to-face meeting with a community welfare officer. Now you don't. And as a result, people desperately in need of support have nobody to talk to. And that needs to be remedied. And that's not a criticism of any of the staff. It is a criticism of the lack of staffing and the lack of face-to-face personnel, frontline personnel, to deal with vulnerable and desperate people.
Minister to respond.
And thank you, Deputy, for raising this matter. Community welfare officers are physically on site daily in over 50 intro centres across the country, where they are available to be seen without an appointment during business hours, Monday to Friday. In addition to meeting citizens in the intro centres, branch offices and DSP offices, community welfare officers can facilitate an appointment within a short time of a person requiring such a meeting at a mutually agreed location, including at a person's home. Staffing levels have been maintained in the community welfare service nationwide in recent years, even during times when demands on the service decreased. This reflects my commitment to continue to support the delivery of locally based services to clients. There are currently 412 people across all grades working in the Community Welfare Service, including 323 community welfare officers throughout the country. Because of the increased level of applications received, agreement was reached with the Department of Public Expenditure and Reform for approximately 74 additional staff for the Community Welfare Service. These staff will be at all grades and will increase the capacity of community welfare officers to focus on making decisions on complex applications and meeting with clients locally as required. Recruitment has commenced and I expect that the additional staff will be in place during Q1 this year. In the meantime, the Department has assigned an additional 30 staff to the service. There are no backlogs of additional needs payment applications at present, and work on hand is within the scheme's normal processing levels. Complete applications are finalised within 2 weeks, and there is less than 2 weeks' work on hand currently. Where it is clear that a person has an immediate need, every effort is made to ensure that they receive a payment on the same day. Approximately 10% of community welfare service payments to customers across the country are made on this basis. So, Deputy, we did have a huge advertising campaign to make people aware that this is the safety net that you use whenever you need help. And there was a lot of applications came in, and I'm glad, because that's what we want to see. We processed 97,000 in 2022 alone, and we have put more resources into the service, and we're committed to providing that service that is so necessary.
Okay, Minister, I'll give you a couple of examples. Couple in their 60s, husband got early onset Alzheimer's. We used to be working and so on. They were on a big top-up arrangement, which, by the way, people shouldn't have to pay, on a HAP. As a result, they fell into arrears because of the cost of living hikes. Now, we did eventually get an exceptional needs payment for them, but it wasn't enough, because at no point could they actually meet an individual to explain the complexities of their situation. So when you say there's unscheduled meetings available with CWOs, I'm afraid that's not true. When you ring the hotline that you responded to me in one question about, you get very nice people at the other end, but they're not community welfare officers. They're people who will send you out forms to fill out. And I can tell you there was a number of cases of desperate people who didn't get their exceptional needs payments before Christmas, got them after Christmas, and so had very little money, and they wouldn't have got them without the assistance of my office. I can give you another example of a woman whose wife has cancer. He can't turn down the heating, but because she's on illness benefit, he's not entitled to the fuel allowance or the additional payments. Okay? These are difficult, complex circumstances for vulnerable people, and they need to be explained to a human being. And that is not a criticism of the staff. I'm telling you what it is. a criticism of that there has been a change in terms of the availability of a human being to talk to in the community welfare.
The Minister to respond, please.
Thank you, Deputy. Well, if you want to give me those specific cases, I'll get the details off you and I'll follow them up. I'll follow them up and I'll find out exactly what the case was there, because I did have other incidents where people came forward with details. I looked them up and I discovered it was somewhat different than what was initially anticipated. Now, I'm not saying that you know, I fully accept the bona fides of the case you're telling me, but I'd like to look into it to see exactly what happened in those cases, because we have put every effort into reducing the time of which a decision is made, and the community welfare officers are available to meet people. They can meet them by appointment, and there's no problem in doing that. And they're available if they go in to the intro office, and they can meet them face to face. And we have increased the number of staff there. And as I said, we have processed 97,000 payments in the last year. So that's a lot of processing. There's no backlog, and we're down to 2 weeks. Now, some cases will take slightly longer, but that's because most likely they haven't got all the information they need. So each case is individual, and as I said, I'm happy to look at those 2 specific cases you brought to my attention.
My point, Minister, and indeed if I can help progress those cases, I'll certainly send them on to you. But my point is that every case, or many of the cases of desperate people, are very complicated. The fact that somebody might fall into arrears on their rent because they're paying a HAP top-up, but they also, somebody who has Alzheimer's, who used to work and so on, and their rent and their HAP tenancy was based on an income they no longer have, that's complicated. Right? Very difficult to explain in a form, very difficult to explain on a phone call. You need to be sitting with an individual to explain those complexities. And similarly with somebody who's on an illness benefit, why are they on a long-term illness benefit when arguably they should be on a different payment, and so on. These are complicated things. But when you say it is easy to get, or indeed sometimes even possible at all to get, face-to-face meetings with a community welfare officer, I'm sorry, that is not the experience we're getting. I do want to acknowledge that when our office gets on to divisional management, they can be very helpful. But without our assistance, many of those people would not have got payments at all. And there's something wrong in terms of the staffing levels, that we can't have the availability of more face-to-face community welfare officers who are easily accessible.
Thanks, Deputy Minister, to conclude.
Thank you. Well, Deputy, can I just say that we have increased the number of staff there. There's a full-time community welfare officer present in over 50 intro offices nationwide, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. And I accept there can be some very, very complex cases. The majority of cases, 80% of them, are processed within a short period of time, and I think that that's an indication of the service that we are providing there. There may be some complex cases, as I said. I'm happy to look at those 2 specific cases you've mentioned to me. We can discuss them later and get the details of them off you later, because a lot of the evidence I'm getting is anecdotal evidence, so I need to see the specific cases. And if people have cases where they want to bring to my attention, I am happy to look them up and find out exactly what happened, because I want to make sure that people get the service. We have increased number of applications. We have approximately 74 staff to be assigned to the Community Welfare Service. Recruitment has commenced, and in most cases they receive their payment within 2 weeks, provided they have all the information they need. And that's a big improvement on where it was, to be fair.
Thanks, Mr.